everyone, we are Group V from Computer Science and Technology degree program. For our web application development group project, we are develop online quiz system. So I'm K.L.N Kalpani CST 20017. From here, I'm going to explain about my part of our project. So I'm talking about the backend part of the user login system and front-end part and backend part of the admin panel. First, move on to the user login system. As you see here, user can log into the system using login page and create account using sign up page. Shall we see how this works? First, I am going to create an account. I will add dummy data here. For this, I will done proper validation. So user need to fill all the fields. Also, password and repeat password must be matched. If it doesn't match, user can see an error message. After fill all fields correctly, press the sign up button. Then shall we go into the login page. User need to enter the username and password correctly. If that correct, user can log into the system. If the user entered student details and password, then load the home page. If the student enter lecture details and password, then load the lecture panel. Also, it is admin details, then admin panel will be loaded. Before talking about admin panel, shall we discuss the backend part of the user login system? In here, for our backend, we use PHP. First, we talk about the sign up backend. We submit the form using the post method. Also, in PHP, we identify the attributes using names. So, in here, we use them. Also, we use a button called submit sign up. Next, we go into the signup.inc.php page. In here, first we start a session. In here, we use signup.php file in class folder. That's why we use these codes. Using this require code, we can attach the file. Then, in here, we check form submit using post method or not. After that, we check if the user press or not the button. All fields are filled or not. This all are correct. Then we validate the email using Flash. If one thing is wrong, then we send an error message using query string. Key is the error and value is 1. If all are okay, then we can save all the data to the variables like this. Also, we use strip tags for sanitizing. If user input HTML tags likewise, then they will remove. Then we can execute the register method in signup class. Shall we move on? In here, we save all the data sending from the register function. For connect with the database, we create an object from DB.CON, execute get connection method and save the data to the con variable. Behind the try catch, first we run this query. In here, we check if anyone already in the database with this username that's saved in RS1. If RS1 greater than 0, that means already have a user with that name. Then it will inform via an error. If it's not, then we check password and repeat password are equal or not. If it is equal, again redirect to the, if it is not equal, again redirect to the sign up page. If it is equal, then encrypt the password using hashtag. Then from the second query, in here return integer number of rows affected. We are saved into A1 variable. If A1 greater than 0, then it is success. Because of that, again we are on first query and get its user ID. Then it will saved into $user ID variable. Then it's sent to user details table. It's return the value saved into A2. If this all are success, load the login. In sign up file, also we did the error handling part. First, check error have or haven't. Then check the value of the error. Based on that, we are sending error message to the user. Let's move on to login. In here, submit the form using post method to login.inc.php file. In this file, first we check it's come from post method or not. Then check other things that we are already done in sign up. After checking all, save the data to the variables. Then call into the sign up function in login class and send these two parameters. In login class, this function, we get that variables and check if it is in the user from that username. That value save into RS. If RS greater than 0, that means have an user. Then save the value of password into a column and check entered password and saved password is matched or not. If all are correct, then execute others. $session is a global variable, ID, name, and the role saved into session. If role equal to student, then load the home page. Role equal to admin, load the admin panel. Role equal to lecturer, then load the lecture panel. Also, we are done the error handling part here. Now we can move on to the admin panel. This is our admin panel. These all pages are responsive. Admin panel will control student and lecturers. You can see the dashboard here. It will display total number of students and lecturers. In this student field, display the information about students. One page only display about 5 persons. We can move on to the next page using the arrows. Under this action section has delete button. Using this button, admin can easily delete a student from the database. Using Add New Student button, admin can add the student to the database. Proper validations also done for this one. User need to fill all the fields and password and repeat password must be matched. If it doesn't, can see an error message on URL. After clicking on add button, student will add to the database. Also, it will display on the table. Lecturer section also work like student one. Admin can delete the lecturers, also can add lecturers using the add new lecturer button. Using this arrow, user can change the display size and also the other button help to go to the top of the page. If we click on logout button, then we are going to login page again. So now you know how this works, so we can talk about the coding part. This is admin dashboard. For the front end, we use HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and Bootstrap. In here, we using this to get student count. Is check whether how many students in the database. Using the query, check the number of students and return its row count. Then display it. Lecture count is also working same like this. Only different is user role. In here, we create table using HTML to display the student details. First, execute get to student function in admin class. It will give the details of the students and save it into RS. Check whether is RS greater than 0. If it is true, then execute other things. In here, this for loop running 5 times because in one page we display only about 5 member details. For delete, we send data into the admin.inc.php with the query string. Also, If less than 0, then user can see no data found message. Shall we move on to the admin.inc.php? In here, we check it come from get method. Then check that URL have or haven't a target and user ID with it. If target equal to student, then check user ID and execute delete student function. Then we go to add new student. This also same like sign up. Send the data using post method. In here, doing all things same like the sign up. Check after going to admin.inc.php file. In here, we check all the things and after execute add new student function. This function also same to sign up. About lecturer, all code parts are same as student, so I'm not going to describe it again. Thank you so much.
Hello, I am Lashan Sachinta, CST 20049. In our web project, my part is develop the lecture profile in our web program. Let's see a small demonstration about how to log into lecture profile and what are the functions on this page. This is the lecture profile. Lecture can add new quizzes. Here, quiz added successfully message display on the desktop, and we can see the text quiz already added to the database and show it on the profile. We also can delete that quiz by pressing the delete button. Here you can see it's already deleted from the database. If we want to add question to relevant quizzes, we can add questions by press this add question button. Now question already added to the this quiz. Here we can see the student progress by clicking this button. Here you can see the username and marks of the students. We already can see this after the quiz. Let's see the backend part of this profile. First, let's check how to display these data from the database. First, we need to connect to the database. This is connect.php file and establish the database here. And here we include that connect.php file. Here I add SQL query to select all the data from the quiz table. Result will be stored in result variable. This while loop read the rows from the database. Inside the while loop, we have to use echo. This statement allows us to read the HTML. Here we add row into the echo statement. Here we add the columns names for read the data according to rows. Also, we provide the delete button and edit button. Here we add the ID for that button. That ID know which row we need to delete to edit. Here we add the path for the delete process. Let's now check how to do that. This is the delete quiz.php file. This is a small one and this is a small process. First we need to connect to our database and we add a SQL query to delete from that data from the quiz table. Here we add the SQL query that data delete according to the row ID. Let's see what are the other processes in the lecture profile. Here we added the new quiz. First we connect to the database and we add the insert query to add data to the database. We insert quiz name, quiz password, start time, end time using these variables that initialize from the data from the forum. Then we will execute the query. Then after, if it is success, then display the quiz status successfully message. Here we use the same process for the insert questions into the question database. This is the backend process of lecture profile quiz site. And thank you.
Hello everyone, I'm A.K.K. Dimani, CST 20066. Now I'm going to explain about my part of our project. So I'm talking about the front-end part and back-end part of the homepage and quiz history page. First I'm talking about homepage. This is our homepage. We have used HTML, CSS and Bootstrap to create the front-end part of homepage. You can see here, this homepage is responsive. Shall we see how this works? From here, user can select quiz ID and can enter quiz password. Related quiz password is given by lecturer or teacher. Quiz ID and quiz password is not matched. User can see here like this error message. Quiz ID and quiz password is matched. User redirect to the quiz page. And also, clicking this click here button, user can access to the library. Next, we move on to the backend part of homepage. We use PHP for our backend. We start by connecting the database using server name, username, password, and database name. This con variable represents the database connection object created using PDO. We use post method to submit selected quiz ID and entered quiz password to the server. This PSP empty variable represents a prepared statement to interact with the database safely and minimize the risk of security. This RS variable holds the result set fetched from the database using the executed prepared statement. Then compare the entered quiz password and actual quiz password from the database. If they match, we redirect the user to quiz.php page. If the quiz ID is not found or if the quiz password is don't match, we send the error message like this. We provided predefined quiz option as well. In here, include header home.php. We dynamically load the quiz IDs from the database using a while loop. This is the library access link. And finally, we include the footer home.php. Next, we move on to the quiz front-end part of quiz history page. This is the quiz history page. You can see this page is also responsive. We have used HTML, CSS, and Bootstrap to create the quiz history page. You can see here we include a table to display details of done up to now quizzes. This table shows only the details related to the login user. Shall we see how the table is changed according to the user? Now I log out the webpage and log in another username. Now you can see here this quiz history table is changed according to the user. Let's move on to the backend part of quiz history page. As previous code, we start by connecting the database. We have started a session here. When a user logs in successfully, their user ID is stored in the session. This con variable represents the database connection object is created using PDO. This login user ID variable stores the user ID retrieved from the user's session. It represents currently logged user. As previous code, this PSTMT variable represents the prepared statement. This RS variable holds the result set fetched from the database using the executed prepared statement. In here, we include header home.php file. We use a for each loop to iterate through the page quiz history data from database. Each quiz's details of done up to now displayed in a row of table. Finally, we include footer home.php file. This is end of my part. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Rajapaksha. My L1 number is CST2080. So in this quiz management system, my part is to make the lecture subject area. Let me show you the front end part of the subject area. So here in the lecture panel sidebar, you can see a button called subject. So here by clicking on it, you can enter the subject area. Here I have created to display the subjects list with its corresponding subject ID, as you can see here. In the top right corner, I display a button to add new subject. So by clicking on it, you can type the subject name and here I create a subject called project R. So here by clicking on add button, you can save the data into the database and it will show in the subject list. Let's try this. Yeah, here you can see the subject which I entered previously called subject called project R. So in the subject area, I have added a column with delete buttons to its subject. Just with the one click on this button, you can delete the data in the database. See here, the previous subject is now deleted. Okay, let's move into the backend part of this subject area. Here we have used PHP to develop backend. Here we have used here we have used a separate file called PHP file which is connect.php to establish the connect with database, and then I have called it with the include function in my lecture subject PHP file. Then I used post method to add subject. So when the data added to the database, here it echo a message subject added successfully. If it is not, it occurs error message. So next part is about creating the add new button, and here I create a form with post method to get the subject name. Then I have create two buttons to add the name or to close the form. Then I have create the table of subject content with 3 columns names in the table head part here. So I have used PHP part to call the data from the database to loading this table body part. So here it display subject ID, subject name, and delete button in corresponding columns. Here I have created a separate PHP file named delete sub.php to execute the command of delete button process. So this is the end of my presentation of my part in this quiz management system. Thank you all.
I am Nimesha Madhuvanti. My enrollment number is UWU CST 20079. Here I am going to demonstrate about the quiz page and quiz results. On the home page, after selecting the quiz name and entering the quiz password and clicking the attempt quiz button, then loading this quiz page will appear like this. Below the navigation bar, there is the quiz name and the time related to the quiz. From the navigation bar, the user can go to the home page again and view the quiz history and log out. All questions must have an answer selected and one cannot proceed to the next question without selecting the answer. After clicking the next button, it is not possible to go to the previous question. Then we can go to the wizard database. This is the Quizzer database. This is the quiz table inside the Quizzer database. Where, quiz ID, user ID, subject ID, quiz name, quiz password, start time and end time in this table. So when you select the quiz name and enter the related password, here a related quiz will be loaded. Then we can go to the mark table. This is the mark table. We can see in the last row, user ID is 21, quiz ID is 20, marks total is 87. But now after doing this quiz, the user's results will be added to a new row. We can go to the quiz. The user can select an answer in this way and click the next button. User can go to the next question. When the last question of the quiz appears, there is a finish button instead of the next button. When the finish button is clicked, the quiz results page will be loaded. This is the quiz results page. Here it shows the time spent on the quiz and its score along with the correct answers to those questions. After that, the user can go to the home page or the view history of the quiz and log out from the navigation bar. Then again we can go to the Quizzer database and refresh it. We can see added new row. This is the new row. We can see user ID 33, quiz ID 1, marks total is 80. This is how the marks table changes after doing the quiz. Then we can go to the code. This is the code related to this quiz page and quiz results page. This code is for a quiz page that allows users to take a quiz and display the results. This is quiz PHP file. The code starts by including the necessary files and starting the session to store the quiz data. It creates an instance of the DB connector class and establishes a database connection. If a quiz ID provided in the get parameter, it assigns the quiz ID to the session variable and retrieves the questions related to that quiz from the database using a prepared statement. The count variable is used to keep track of the number of questions. If no quiz ID is provided in the get parameter, but the quiz ID is stored in the session variable, it retrieves the questions related to that quiz ID from the database using a prepared statement again. It defines an empty array called $questions to store the questions and their options. It then for loop through the retrieved questions and adds them to the $questions array with their options and correct answer index. It checks if it is the first question by checking if the question number session variable is not set. If not, it initializes the session variables for the quiz, shuffles the question order and starts the quiz. It checks if an answer has been submitted for the previous question by checking if the answer form parameter is set. If so, it processes the selected answer, updates the score or other necessary data, increments the question number and checks if it is the last question. If it is the last question, it calculates the time spent on the quiz, displays the quiz results and includes the quiz results PHP file to display the results. If it is not the last question, it retrieves the current question and options from the $questions array and displays them in a form for the user to select an answer. It includes the JavaScript code to handle the countdown timer for the quiz and validate the form before submitting. This is the JavaScript code. Finally, it includes the necessary footer home PHP file. The quiz results PHP file is included when the quiz is completed to display the quiz results. It calculates the time spent on the quiz, displays the score, inserts the quiz marks into the database, and displays a table with the questions and their correct answers. Then we can go to the quiz results PHP file. This is the quiz results PHP file. It includes the necessary files and starts the session to retrieve the quiz data. It calculates the time spent on the quiz by subtracting the start time from the end time. It creates an instance of the DB connector class and establishes a database connection. It starts displaying the quiz results, the heading and the time spent on the quiz. It displays the score by the user achieved and the total number of questions in the quiz. It calculates the total marks achieved by dividing the score by the total number of questions and multiplying by 100. It inserts the quiz marks into the database by preparing an SQL statement and binding the values to the parameters and then executing the statement. It displays a table with the questions and their correct answers by using a for each loop to iterate over the $questions array. The question number, the question text, and the correct answer retrieved from the array. Finally, it includes the necessary footer home PHP file. So this code basically calculates and displays the quiz results, inserts them into the database, and shows the questions with their correct answers in a table format. So that's all. Thank you.